Hello there, David Risley here with the Blog Marketing Academy at blogmarketingacademy.com. Today we're continuing with our list building challenge number 9. The next one, number 10, will be our last one of this particular series. Now, if you've just come into it, just go ahead and back up in the archives here and you can catch up with us from number 1 and follow through the entire thing. Okay, so let's jump right into number 9 for today. Mobile traffic is a pretty big deal these days, as you probably know. There's a lot of people out there that are now browsing our sites on mobile devices, and it's very important that your site is mobile responsive to work on smaller screens. You've probably experienced this as a mobile user yourself, that when you go to sites, they will usually appear differently on your phone than if you're on your computer, okay? Now, when I look at my own stats as of this particular recording, about 38% of my overall traffic to the Blog Marketing Academy over the last 30 days was on a mobile device. It was not on a desktop computer. Those numbers are pretty astounding, and it's something that we need to plan for, okay? These people were on my site with a phone, or something like that. We're talking small screens, okay? So the question that I have for you is, do your opt-in forms actually adjust properly and work well on small screens? This is one of those things that we sometimes forget when we're working on our blogs on our computer, that we forget that the opt-in forms, which is one of the big things that we want people to do on our site, which is opt into our list, are much more difficult to use when you're on an iPhone or you're on an Android device or something than when you're on the computer. It's just a different experience, and we need to plan accordingly. Opt-in forms, which may appear just fine on the desktop, can be all but invisible or just plain annoying to use on the phone. For instance, a lot of times if we use sidebar opt-in forms, which is very, very typical, you'll find that on a mobile device, that sidebar gets kicked way down to the bottom. Like you've got the entire blog post there, and then your sidebar and everything in it gets pushed way the heck down there. And so essentially what happens is whatever opt-in form that you had in that sidebar is now all but invisible because it's buried by everything else. It's way, way, way down there, okay? And of course, because of that, your opt-in rate on mobile will typically be completely garbage. It's just not even worth talking about. Now, if you use an exit pop or some other pop-up type thing, the trigger settings might not work right on a mobile phone. For example, if you're using exit intent, which is a way where you can have an opt-in form pop up when the person moves up to the top of their screen in order to hit the back button or something, it doesn't work that way on a mobile device because we're doing everything with our thumbs. And so it's just a different thing. Plus, there's not much more on a phone that's more annoying than having an opt-in completely take over the screen of my iPhone when I'm on some site. I mean, it's so interruptive, and it annoys me every time that it happens to me. And so you need to look at these opt-in forms and what actually happens to them on people's mobile phones. You might want to actually alter your opt-in strategy specifically for mobile devices so that it happens differently on mobile than it happens on their desktop. You can actually display different forms to them depending on what device they're actually on. Now, with Thrive Leads, which is of course the plugin that I use to manage all of my on-site opt-in forms, you can easily do this by simply triggering the settings for whether an opt-in will display on mobile or not. When you're actually looking at all the opt-in forms that you have, Thrive Leads has a little checkbox that says display on desktop, display on mobile, and each one has a yes or no. And so what you can actually do is design different opt-in forms that look different and just have one as enabled on desktop and the other one enabled on mobile, but it's designed so that it is not going to completely just kick you in the eyeballs when a person actually goes there on a mobile device. Okay, you want to be sure to always test out your blog posts and your site in general on mobile. You want to see where those opt-in forms show up and what they actually look like. You might be surprised what you find. Now, you can test your site on mobile with a few different ways. Obviously, the easy way is just to yank out your own phone and go to your own website. It's something that a lot of us don't do often enough to actually see what our own site operates like on our own phone. Another thing that you can do is that if you're using a browser like Google Chrome or Firefox, there's actually a tool built right into the browser called Inspector, okay? And if you right-click Anywhere on a website, you can actually do, on Google, it's called Inspect Element, or Firefox is Inspect Element. It's something very similar under Google Chrome. And it will pop up this tool. But this tool actually has a way built right into it where you can preview what that site will look like on various types of mobile devices, all right inside your own web browser. So that's a tool you might want to check out as well. Just use the Inspect tool. There's also some online tools you can use like Screenfly. There's one called mobiletest.me. I'll leave you to Google those things if you would like to go and try these things out. But I think you've got some easy low-hanging fruit that you could try without using some third-party service. So you might also wonder, do people actually opt in from a mobile device? I mean, because it is a little bit more difficult to do, all right? Well, if the lead magnet being offered to them is compelling for them, and that was the reason they came there, then absolutely they will opt in even when they're on a mobile device. But as we said, that opt-in form needs to be easy for them to use. If they have to resize the form or do a bunch of pinching and whatever on their screen in order to make that form usable for them, then they're going to not use it, okay? So this may be one reason why you might just want to have a less aggressive opt-in strategy for mobile. Their mindset is often in a very different place when they're sitting on their phone anyway. You're going to generally get more engagement on a desktop, generally speaking. So when you choose to you might want to choose to actually disable your more aggressive opt-in forms. Like if you do have pop-ups or a full screen opt-in form on your site, you might want to go in and just simply turn that off from mobile traffic so that it doesn't mess with you or it doesn't kill your opt-in strategy, okay? Plus, you also want to keep in mind that Google pays a lot more attention to mobile friendliness these days. In fact, it's actually a ranking factor for search engine optimization. And so if they are seeing that when people click on that traffic on mobile, there's this big interruptive thing that gets in their way, it can even ding your SEO, and it's not a good thing. So go and turn off those more aggressive opt-in strategies and pay special attention to how things work on mobile devices. So I encourage you today, your action item for today is to revisit your opt-in forms with mobile traffic in mind. Go and actually visit your site with your own mobile device. Test out how things actually work and make adjustments as necessary that actually respects the state of mind of people who are typically on a mobile device, but is also something that they can actually use with a very different interface than we have when we have a keyboard and a mouse attached to everything, okay? Don't make the rookie mistake of assuming that everybody is accessing your site the same way that you do.